Hey guys, welcome back to the London is Blue podcast YouTube channel. You're about to watch a clip from our Rennes match review. If you want to hear the full podcast, go to our podcast anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Enjoy.
All right, World Cup subs. Love a complete headline, Dan. Naz tweeting absolutely insane that Chelsea have brought Conte, Giroud, Havertz, and Ziyech off of the bench. The depth has gone through the roof this season, but is that because we're really, really deep or because we had a really, really weak lineup?
Wow.
Well, I think it's...
Look at you.
Yeah, Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, Dan.
I think it's because we had a interesting lineup that
An interesting
needed to be
use a different
saved.
adjective.
Dan,
Good
just tell us
bad.
you're running for office already,
Good
okay?
bad.
Just stop skirting the issue.
I asked not what your lineup could do for you, but what you can do for your lineup.
No, you missed
that's
it. What these
N'Golo Kante.
what these subs could do for your lineup. You missed it. You could have just tied it all together.
But
Dan.
anyway, the subs were great. They came in. Matt Davies-Adams was 100% correct. They changed the flow. And typically, if you need subs to come and win the game, something wasn't right with the initial game plan, and that was accurate. So, yes, it was great to see. I don't necessarily know if Giroud had to start, but I think with Conte and with Ziyech, to the point Adi made, those were the individuals who had an immense impact when they came on. You know, Conte is just such a calming presence and a controller in the midfield, particularly in the midfield, that was allowing center backs from Rennes to press all the way forward up into our box. Like that should not happen. An opposing center back, and I know that Silva did it to them, but that's also like, you know, they did not have a great midfield either. You should not allow that to happen. There should not be that much space to go one way, end to end, in football, in Champions League football, Nick. It shouldn't happen.
No. I mean, come on. I mean, it was infuriating because, again, the balance was just all off. Rennes dominated the midfield all day, which is not great because essentially the way that the lineup was set up was more of a 4-2-3-1 than it was a 4-3-3. Mason wasn't as deep and he wasn't as connected to Jorginho as I would have hoped he would be, because Jorginho just needs the outlet and Kovacic was, they were just buzzing around each other all the time. But yeah, I mean, you bring in Olivier Giroud, who has been dying for minutes, got him, made an impact, made a really scrappy heads-up impact. It has to be said. Like, there was no guarantee that he was even going to reach that ball, but he had to go for it. And all he did with it was put in a bullet header that the defender tried to Suarez out of the goal with his hand. So certainly should have been a red card regardless of if he scored the goal, by the way. I don't know if they've looked at that yet, but it was good to see Giroud. And then, yeah, you bring on the man of the hour in Ziyech, who is playing at a different level. And, Ollie Glanville, our friend who never stops or never sleeps, but is continually tweeting awesome clips at us, sent us one where you could see how pissed that Ziyech was that Werner missed the chance that he gave him. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I've been talking about for 3 episodes now. Ziyech demands quality, and Werner just didn't have it on that occasion or many others tonight. And I think we got bailed out with Giroud just being a heads-up kind of smart player. It really does make an impact, Adi, to have experience on the field in those kind of clutch situations.
Yeah, I would second all that, but I also want to point out that Nas just completely snubbed Reece James.
Yep,
It's true. He's
might have
not as established of an international.
Didn't he come on late though? I thought he came on later.
Maybe it was. Yeah, maybe he tweeted that before. He was the last sub. So.
It was because that was like the 3 kind of in close succession there.
I think when you're talking about Giroud, I get the arguments. I also think he is a perfect super sub. I don't think that the ideal version of this team is Giroud as the starter by any means. I think that Tammy has played really well until he was getting sucked into the midfield because our midfield didn't defend. Kovacic, you mentioned him, and I wanted to bring him up because he had by far his worst game since Havertz went out. He just did nothing, and he had looked so. I mean, he's not a great attacker by any means, and he missed that one chance he had the other game, but he had looked so energized as an 8 next to Conte being a 6, and in this game he was like unsure if he was the 6 or the 8. And he didn't seem to have there was no purpose. He was playing with no purpose whatsoever. And it was kind of disarming. You know, Chelsea fans on Twitter, at least, are very harsh on Kovacic sometimes. And yet most of us would agree he was one of, if not our best player last season. And, you know, it was really refreshing to see him the last couple of matches play really well on that right side in place of Havertz. And, you know, even though that's technically out of his position too, he's really a left-sided player. I was really unimpressed with the Jorginho Kovacic connection, and I continued to be. And even it looked better at times last season for sure.
Well, we can pull off of that one, and we'll talk about that meaty French forehead that Dan alluded to in the beginning. Statman Dave, all right, coming in with the stat tweet saying Olivier Giroud scored 12 goals in 1,272 minutes in European competition since the start of the 2018-2019 season, an average rate of a goal every 106 minutes. Clutch yet again. Fly the French flag. Back to you, Dan, our sideline commentary. I hear you have Lampard and quotes on Giroud.
Well, there are wonderful quotes on Giroud. I would say that if you're getting it's just over a match per goal is a pretty nice bit of conversion there. That's a good stat. That is a really good stat for Olivier. And of course, a lot of that did come during that wonderful run in the Europa League where he was just banging them past some teams for fun. But still, Giroud's great. He is wonderful, and we love everything about him. The comments from Lampard were that was great from him. Not only that, but his hold-up play when he came on, but his physicality. I have selection issues because, again, selection issues. It's the story of Lampard's life. Because I have Tam who's playing well, and Ollie always contributes in a way that with professionalism that was incredible, and restart, it's a good problem. Ollie will get his minutes. He will start matches because we have a busy schedule. You saw such a reaction around the goal, not just because it was a last-minute winner, but because it was Ollie, who acts like he does every day. It shows what he means to the team. I love that they came up and started patting him on the forehead, the big old head, giving him the dab up there. That was phenomenal. But, I mean, look, you know, he's someone who's been rumored to leave in January.
Where did you get that idea from?
Dan.
He's been pretty vocal about it.
Well, look, there's rumors.
Round two,
Look, he
again.
hasn't called me. We haven't talked about it directly. You know, we talk a lot about grooming tips and things. We're trying to figure out the solution to Nick, and we've just been chatting back and forth about it. So we're coming up with something for you, bud. Don't worry. But anyway, the thing is, if we're in a run that puts us looking at a Premier League title, looking at maybe being a favored for advancing to the 8 or advancing to the 4s, getting deeper in the Champions League, like, come on. Like, why would you want to leave?